Welcome to the Chiefs. The Chiefs is a White Arc podcast aimed at specifically giving you an insight into what makes great leaders and entrepreneurs in a variety of organisations tick. We call them Chiefs. My name is James Ciuffatelli, and together with my White Arc co-chief, Joe Hands, we're going to attempt to take you on a journey and talk to as many chiefs across as many industries as we can to give you an insight into A, what makes them tick, and B, what makes their enterprises thrive, and more importantly, what they've learnt along the way. The Chiefs.
Welcome to the Chiefs. Today, we are so excited to have Alan Lim with us. Alan is a well-seasoned executive with extensive experience across finance, operations, and navigating companies through change, transformation, performance improvement. He started his career at KPMG in audit, and the Big 4 is a great training ground for career success. But Alan is probably well known to a lot of you as someone who's very active on LinkedIn, who does a lot of thought leadership and does a lot of mentoring programs within his business and in his own time. So I'm very excited today to have Alan on the Chiefs with us, talking to us about, what he's learned in his journey, a little bit more about him, and helping us get some insight into advice for us to be a great leader and just advice in general. So I know that you've got heaps to talk to us about, Alan, today. So thank you so much for joining.
I would like to thank White Arc Podcast and Joe for the opportunity to be interviewed and share my experience and lessons that I've learned along my journey in my career, business, and life.
So I'm going to get the ball rolling. So the first question for you, Alan, is please describe yourself in 3 words.
The 3 words is probably in my mind is entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask why. That is where you become an entrepreneur, you have the opportunity to become financial freedom. That's where a lot of people target to have the goals to become. The second one is strategist. Why? It's powerful and effective. And the mentor in terms of what I look upon as a strategist, a great strategist would be Sun Tzu. That one sentence that actually I pick up from him is, know the enemy, know yourself, and you do not fear the results of the 100 battles. That I will describe later during the podcast. And the third one is business mentor. Why it is so important? We understand there's a lot of people do not share their secrets either in the career or the mentor. So basically what I see that, there's a lot of importance in that. I'm trying to share with more people, and I will show you how along the way.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know there's heaps for us to learn about you, but absolutely fantastic 3 words to describe yourself. So the second one is, we read a lot, started off 2021 and it's a new year, and people talk about having a theme for the year. Do you have a theme for the year, Alan, that you would like to share with the listeners today?
Yep. In 2020, we talk about reset, reflect, renew. And I would say the 3 words that, I like 3 words. It's a powerful 3 words. Is resilience, adaptability, and agility.
So resilience, adaptability,
and agility.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think that last year was about resetting and about businesses going, what are we going to do next? I think that the businesses that are really going to thrive through this period are the businesses that adapt, right? And really focus on what do they need to do to set themselves up for success. So resilience is a really interesting concept, isn't it? Because we talk about resilience in terms of our personal resilience and how we'd be more resilient as a person, but then there's the whole business resilience. So how do you make your business more resilient when we're in such a period of uncertainty? It's a really interesting challenge for businesses at the moment.
I think the 3 words is actually a great words. And I've used that all the 3 words all along during, the crisis, during all the projects that I have, because resilience is something you need to have in the capacity as a business, career, or life, because it's a long term. That's why it's not a short run, it's a marathon run. So that's why resilience is very important. Adaptability is because things just keep changing. If you're not changing with them, you're behind and you got not a chance to catch up, because things are changing very rapidly, especially during this COVID and 2020. Agility is you need to be light, fast, and movement. It's like what we call agility is like obviously like the water flow. Like Bruce Lee says, you need to be very powerful, fast, and agile so that you be in front of the competitors or you in front of something that you face challenges with.
Yeah, they're really great 3 words for this year, and some really, really big themes and really a lot to unpack in relation to that. So before we kind of deep dive into some of the things that you've been working on, I was hoping you could tell the listeners today a little bit about your journey, right, as a leader and some of the highlights.
So basically what I've planned for my entire life is in terms of blocks of 10 years.
Yeah.
So my blocks actually start on, let's say, age 25 to 35. That's the first block. The second block is 35 to 45, 45 to 55, and 55 to 65. That's where we retire. Things may change a little bit age, depends on where you graduate and things you do, some sooner, some later. When I do mentoring for business or career, this is the blocks that I use. Let's say the first block, I always tell, when I do career mentoring, I will always ask the first question, how do you foresee yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
That is, the top of your career. So basically with that in mind, you have an objective to goal, and I have a plan that I can plan with you how you can achieve success through the plan from my experience and from my mentor, 1,000+ mentor experiences. So I will share with you, and knowing it is Privacy Act, I will only share you the experience, not the name.
Yes.
So the first 10 journey will be journey to the top.
Yeah.
As for me, my journey to the top starts here. The Big 4 KPMG, the first 5 years, and the next 5 years will be with a public listed company.
Yeah.
So obviously later down the podcast, I will show the examples of that. And the next block is age 35 to 45. You have learned a lot, you have tried a lot. So you've been taught a lot. So it comes to how we applied it, how we apply the principles, which I have the opportunity to apply them during the 2 crises in terms of 87 and 97.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, I have to turn around companies, I have to do M&A. All those are tests of, what you have learned the last 10 years, which obviously later you will know that Big 4 KPMG has influenced me a lot in a lot of this, initial career and taught me a lot, which I'm forever grateful. So the next one is 45 to 55. That will be the test of, do you want to continue your career to become the top and leverage all your skills that you have? Or like some people will say, they will go into business. That is the point when people turn.
Yeah.
And 55 to 65 is to further upon your career or further upon your business.
Well, that's great because it kind of breaks down the different life cycles, right, that you have in your life about what you should focus on when. It has a big enough horizon that you can really think about what you want to achieve in that 10-year period. And all of it kind of interlinks, right? Because what you do in the first 10 years drives success in the outer years. And I think, for a lot of people that I know who've had the Big 4 experience and they started out of university into one of the Big 4 firms, what you learn is problem solving, stakeholder management is fundamental, not only technical training, but fundamental kind of leadership training that actually sets you up quite significantly for success in a lot of the other roles you can do. And you don't realize how much those skill sets are versatile and are important until you actually get into outside of those big firms and you realize actually how much you've learnt during that period.
Yeah, one of the biggest influence that I have Big 4 is, the powerful concept of networking.
Yeah.
The powerful concept of mentoring.
Yeah.
The powerful concept of contribute back to the community, which I will share later.
Yeah.
When the right time comes.
Yeah, that's fine. So thank you so much. So if you could be the best at anything in the world, what would it be? What would you choose, Alan?
Let me share with you some secrets that I've never shared before. I'm actually tone deaf.
Oh, really?
I can't sing and enjoy a lot of things related to singing. So in terms of emotional, so I'm also emotional deaf, or what you call the word alexithymia,
Yeah.
which is hard to achieve high level of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I will not ask anything more as I'm blessed with a lot of skills.
Yeah.
I just have to keep learning to overcome alexithymia, empathy, and emotional intelligence, which I recognize as one of the greatest weaknesses of myself.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your secret with us. So, I've read some of the articles you've written and followed you on some of the things that you're doing. And I know you're very passionate around Sun Tzu. And could you explain, first of all, to our listeners how to say it, because I will have said it wrong. And second of all, could you explain to our listeners who may not know anything about it, a little bit about it and why it's such a powerful thing to understand and apply?
Sun Tzu is actually one of the greatest strategists. If we understand what the strategist is, person who actually plan to try to achieve the goals. So let me give you an example, which is a strong statement from Sun Tzu, and I explain an example so that we know why it is so powerful. Know the enemy, know yourself. You do not fear the results of 100 battles. You can actually see that it relates to battles, and Sun Tzu is one of those that fought one of the most battles during that period of time. Mm-hmm. He won a lot of them. Let me give you an example that that happened that to me that I was asked to do a challenging role to develop the export market from scratch. So I thought about a long time, how am I going to do it? What are the strategies involved to be able to do it? So I thought of Sun Tzu. I read the books and I see how he has actually fought so many wars. What is his secret to it? Then I found that, he does actually a replication process. So basically every war that he fights, he actually planned based on the experience that he have for those wars that, or what he called at that time, battles that he has successfully fought. And then he customized it for the environment. So that is important because, if you really read the, history and look at the firms, it's actually the market intelligence, or at the time, the intelligence he gets from the soldiers in the front line and find, what is the strategies that he will adapt to be able to be successful. In this same method, I thought we did very well in the local market.
Yeah.
Even in the local market, we did very well. So I thought, how can we do this example to replicate this process to as many countries as possible? So first, I can understand that the country that will be very powerful will be US. So I started to try to replicate this process with my potential distributor. So I have various meetings with this potential distributor and says, how can, you understand the market which is in US. I understand the market that I'm in. So basically we have got to exchange notes and see where will we be able to put a market position that actually allow us to leverage or penetrate the market. So we've been talking about all these, areas of businesses and everything, how we can actually position ourselves in terms of pricing, in terms of products, in terms of where we can sell, where we will win, how we will, how other competitors are performing, where is the gap analysis. So when we have this strategy, we actually will try to do this as a small scale and see how successful. Well, probably people say a tryout. So after the tryout, we will actually do a modification, a review and redo. And then once we find the right formula, we just have to get a full run and a full blast and see what's the results. So it was actually took quite some time for the first one. I think it took about 6 months to get it right. Once we penetrate the US market, we are able to, the next one will be Middle East market, Australia market, Canada market, New Zealand, Asia Pacific. And I think is, the first one, I did get a lot of pressure because it was actually very difficult. A lot of people have these different strategies. They say start from the smallest that you can win, and then you become bigger win. But I was actually maybe a bit more ambitious. And I say, if we get the US market, that would be my reference points. Then I always say, if US market, just to say, if somebody will say, good, great, I think, it's easy to sell the deal. So I started differently, but I have to thank Sunway and the management team. If they hear me that, they were very supportive of a very different way that I use, because, having no results for 6 months, can be very stressful for
Yeah.
the whole team, but it was a great success after the 6 months.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Then once you got the US market right, you then tweaked that for each of the different other markets, depending on, different things within each of the markets.
So basically, I can share with you, US market and Australian market and New Zealand is more like the quality market.
Yeah.
It's like, they love the quality market. So we have to do one set of things. What can entice the customer into quality?
Yeah.
Because he wants a product that actually long lasting. Because
Yeah.
the labor cost to change it is very high in this market. So we will come up with something that, good value and low cost. So we produce limited products for these customers, and then he will get the rest of the products from the market. So he will have that dual competency or dual advantage, having the low cost product from us in Asia to be able to have quality products and also get from the rest of his suppliers, and then becomes the range with low cost, but high value. So that is the market in US. While the other market, which is Asia Pacific, which is probably, China, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, they look at differently. They just want a product that just works at the lowest cost, because labor is a very low cost to them. All I have to do is change it if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So basically, there are two different types of strategies that, approach that we use. And depending on the customers and depending on the products in that country, we adjusted, or like you say, we adapt accordingly. And I always tell my distributors, it is a long run. That's why we need to have resilience. Like, short results don't work. So the distributors that I have been with me for many, many years.
Excellent. And if you go back to the principles around know your enemy and know yourself, could you talk to us a bit more about those principles?
Okay, basically, know yourself and know your enemy. Your enemy can be a lot of things. Your enemy can be your competitor. So you have to know your competitor and use which strategies that actually fits. Let's say the competitor has certain strengths. I even go to the other extent that, I collaborate with a competitor.
Yeah.
I went to the board, they were surprised. Alan just come up with, very, very different ideas. I say that was under the crisis. I told the management, we have actually got two choices. We will fight against pricing. Yes, we will all be able to fight because we are a large public listed company, but then everybody will be, basically it's not, it's a red ocean.
Yeah.
So I will tell them that, don't be surprised if everybody reports to you that I'm working with a competitor. So I work with a competitor. Let's say, okay, the market is big enough for me and you and another person. But now I think you can't do that. At that time, you can do that. Today you can be, you can different. The third person you talk, I don't know what's the term, but you can't do it today.
Yeah.
So at that time, there's no such ruling. So we went there. Let's say, okay, which market do you want? You say this market, so we will stay away the market. We have this informal understanding that, we will try to get which market that we actually agreed upon, get the whole market share, and not fight on price. At least you see, we will win. Our price have not dropped so much. Our customer will win in the sense that we actually get very good service from three great, friendly competitor at that time. I told them, or alliances. Actually, I didn't say competitor. Can we alliance to get the thing to work so that we will all go through the recession. So this is basically the enemy could be your enemy that is in the environment. Let's say you're doing a project. The environment is something you have to fight against. What are the challenges you have? So basically you determine the enemy as the environment. So what can you change? What can you do better? So basically I compare two things, what we are now and what it should be. So how do we find a path to become from what we are now to what we should be? Sometimes we cannot because the cost is too high to change. Then we look at it, all the easy wins. We just take all the easy wins and then we start, piloting the 80-20 rule. Those that actually has the, basically the key is what you can do 20% of the time to achieve 80% of the results will be what you try to do first. So the enemy is actually the thing that you want to challenge.
Yeah, okay. That's really interesting. And when you think about knowing yourself. It's knowing your strengths and weaknesses and having a really good picture of where you stand in relation to that. And then once you know your enemy and you know yourself, then you determine the plan.
Yep. Basically, you need to know your strength.
Yeah.
You need to know the market strength. So, so basically, if the market does not have the strength, you leverage your strength. And then if the market has a certain strength, then you will see this is if this is your weakness, what strategy do we use to mitigate the weakness? And how can we leverage to maximize our strength? Let's say I was actually in charge of the managed fund. We know that our strength, because we are in Asia, our strength is the cost.
Yeah.
But we don't have, the type of marketing strategies that USA have, the market strength that, Australia able to do, and New Zealand able to do in terms of, languages, communication and all this. So we will have to work together with the distributor there. I provide you the product and tell you what the benefit. You come up with the program to entice the market, do all the communication. Because if we do it from our factory end, obviously it's not as successful as you do it in the country where you are actually very good at communication orally and also very good at communication verbally.
Yeah, okay. It's really interesting. So I've been following you on LinkedIn and you have a hashtag on it all changes from here. So could you tell us a little bit about this initiative and what it involves?
Yeah. So basically that is actually, I have been doing mentoring for many years. So I started mentoring after I came out of Big 4. Maybe I'll just now explain to you why the influence of Big 4 has for me on networking and mentoring.
Yeah.
So basically when I was in Big 4, I had a lot of opportunity to meet people. So because in every week, we almost have one audit done or one consultancy job done. That means I am meeting a team of big corporates every week.
Yeah.
I think I would never have this opportunity to be able to repeat this for the rest of my life if I'm not in the Big 4. I understand the importance of networking. So I actually counted the number of hours that I have, 100 to 150 hours. Basically, every week I have about 2 to 3 hours. I will have the network with people. I have the opportunity to learn from these people.
Yeah.
Indirectly, it's called mentoring. Mentoring is learning from somebody with more experience. I listen, all these things, which later, I use it to my career and my business. So that has actually impacted me and influenced me. So I started my journey then at Big 4 to mentor people and start networking with people. But because there's a lot of opportunity in Big 4, I did not have to move out of my comfort zone to get to meet new people. I had enough people. But I start mentoring. So if you want to count it today, I probably mentor thousands of people.
Wow.
So basically what happens is I found that if I want to, my whole entire life, if I extrapolate, I could mentor 5,000 people in their career and business. So I thought, what other ways can I do it more effectively and more efficiently and using the replication process?
Yeah.
So I thought if I set a platform for professionals to grow their network knowledge and skills to achieve success, career and business and life with free webinar, mindset, leadership, and personal development. If I can train, let's say for the first round, if I can train 50 people to be able to, achieve that, if I ask maybe, normally the rule of thumb is 80-20, 20% of them will say, they put up a hand and say, Alan, I've learned from it and be successful. I'm willing to teach or spend my time to do it. That is the power of replication.
Yeah.
Well, now let's say if I can do 5,000, if I can find 10 people to do 5,000, it's 50,000.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trying to find hundreds of people so that more people can enjoy this program. Yes, there are people not willing to share, but there are also people who are willing to share. So I'm trying to find the people who are willing to share, who have learned from it, and then I'm able to share with a lot more people. That was, it all changes from here. Basically, I'm telling people, yes, we can be poor, but we can have the attitude of, good leadership. We can have the attitude of good mindset, growth mindset. We can have the attitude of personal development, very good. But I think to that, you will have more chances to achieve in your career, business, and life. So that's how it started off. I have a founder. We share the same aspiration and goal. So that's how we started our journey. And it all changes for me is a hashtag when you can actually see all the events related. Actually, when the hashtag was started, it was almost nothing in the hashtag.
Yeah.
So this is a very good thing. So we started to build things, relevant to where, professionals can actually, in terms of mindset, leadership, personal development, in terms of events, in terms of webinars, if we're all there, if somebody has hashtagged it, and then they go to the hashtag and look, they say, aha, this is something I'm interested, go. But in fact, most of them are free.
Yeah, okay. So, the whole concept of mentorship, Alan, and, the importance of being able to mentor people and impart some of the knowledge that you've had. Have you had mentors that have helped you along the way? Is that what's inspired you to really champion mentorship?
Maybe I'd share with you one secret. At that time, I tried to find mentors. When I was in KPMG. I was just a young graduate. It looks like nobody wants to mentor me. They don't say no. They say when they have the opportunity, or when they say, I'm probably too busy, or they mentor me 1 or 2 sessions. So I think that is the very reason that I started mentoring people. Hopefully in time to come, there's a lot of people who actually get this concept and start mentoring, and mentoring will become a trend. That's what I wanted it to become. I wanted a trend that, more people can learn from it, more people can practice it. It's some things like, virtual meeting. People initially before the COVID did not embrace it. So I would try to have this, let's say if all changes from here, I'm trying to do, thousands. If I can try to get thousands of people to be educated to this program, and thousands of people to practice this, it could be a new norm. That's what I'm trying to change.
And do you enjoy mentoring people? Do you learn something from the people you're mentoring as well?
I obviously learned something from all these people. So I have thousands of things that I learned from these people. And then obviously, if I learn the thousand over things from thousands of mentees, if there's nobody for me to teach, then all these are wasted. So basically, we need to learn and share and teach people all this so that they can eventually also teach another person to learn and to share. It's like virtual meeting. A lot of us initially have a lot of problems with virtual meeting, but then when we start learning, there's also another powerful thing in virtual meetings.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the power of the mentorship and what you're trying to do, which is really create a movement, right? So, I can actually create more change if I can get more people to come on board and also be mentors for other people. And really this has come out of yourself going, well, actually, I would like a mentor, and seeing the power of sharing learnings, I think is very, very powerful. So 2020 was a crazy year. So what surprised you most about how businesses adapted?
I think there's 2 things that stand out. Work from home and a virtual meeting. So basically, I think that is the 2 concepts that employers or workplace do not embrace. They allow a certain amount of flexibility to work from home, but not as a norm. So say, if you have something urgent, you have a tension coming, or, you have to wait for something at home, or, then, okay, I allow you flexible working. And if you got no other way or means of able to meet personal, face-to-face, then go for a virtual meeting. That is actually as an exception.
Exactly.
So basically, we have actually embraced it a lot. So that is a very good thing. Like it says that we need to have the adaptability. So that is actually, that's why the 3 words, very important words: resilience, adaptability, and agility. So that's how, it has becomes very powerful in the sense that people need to adapt to the changes in order to be successful or able to manage the challenges or overcome the challenges.
And I think you're right. I think it's gone from being an exception to the norm. And because of the crisis, people have had to embrace the change. But now it reshapes the business world and it reshapes the way people interact. And it changes the way the employer will have to interact with the employee, because the work from home is really going to change. The way we've done it is going to change what people want to do and what people want, how they want to set up their working lives going forward, right? And it's finding that right balance between building the connections with your team and being in the office together, and actually allowing your team the flexibility to get their work done when and where it suits them.
I think that is also the other part, Joe, is, you can always also leverage on this opportunity,
Yeah.
which I have three areas that, my four areas of core business.
Yeah.
Like one is actually in terms of funding or finance.
Yeah.
The second one is actually in terms of HR, in terms of learning and programs. The third one is actually in terms of real estate. Usually we don't have any chances normally, to develop the business throughout Australia or by national or globally. So I think these are the plans in 2021. I'm working with all my business partners to expand it national and also globally.
Yeah.
Why can we do that? Because people have embraced the virtual meetings. So previously when I say Zoom in, no, you come and see me, or you go and fly over to my country and we can talk on a meeting table. But I think there's a lot more opportunities now that, people are willing to do that. I can try, we have a target to replicate to 13 countries.
Yeah.
All trying to use Zoom. So that becomes, you talk about adaptability. So that has become the new way. And obviously, in meeting with people, we save a lot of time, in terms of traveling, in terms of stress, you can actually have meeting one after another. While if we are traveling, then we have a lot of disturbance and changes. So obviously there's the pros and cons. So we need to look at all the pros and see whether how much can we make use of it.
That's true. We have to figure out the pros, capitalize on the pros, and then work out where there's, things that are cons and go, what can we do to make this the best we possibly can make this? It's really fantastic advice. So, we talked about you being a really passionate mentor. What's your one piece of advice that you would give business leaders right now?
I think a lot of business leaders or corporations are actually embracing it, mentoring.
Yeah.
So I think like CPA Australia, they just started their pilot mentoring in 2019. I was actually one of the pilot few to start off with them.
Right.
Similar, like Monash University, they've actually embraced mentoring. So my message to people is, how powerful is the effect of mentoring?
Yeah.
So CPA Australia and Monash have said that, it's one of the best things they've done. Why? Because it is bringing, when you do mentor and mentee, you're bringing the best out of your employee. So if you can bring the best out of the employee, just imagine to be able to bring out 20 to 30% all the best of your employee. Just imagine that is a multiplier effect. So I would say to ask all the employee to consider to do mentoring, or at least have a mentoring consultancy they're able to do them for you if you cannot do it in-house.
Yeah. So make sure that you have a mentoring program. Yep. Either do it in-house, but if not, reach out, right, and get some external help. Yeah, I think it's a really good one. So my last two questions for you is, we've talked a bit about resilience and adaptability, right? And those two words are part of your 3 words for 2021. But could you give an example or some advice to businesses around how they best do this in 2021 and what it looks like?
Okay, in terms of one thing, resilience, we need to just find out what works and use the Pareto principle. 20% of the input will give 80% of the results. To priority to the things that you can do and be adaptive and see what you can do. Do all the small wins, and I think you get a lot more better. So in terms of resilience and adaptability.
Yeah. So this whole concept of 80-20, right? So 20% of your effort's going to give you 80% of the return. You got to work out what that is, because otherwise you're putting in 100% of the effort. It's not going to move the needle that much, right? In terms of the outcome. So it's a challenge, right? It's around prioritization, because people have got personal lives and they've got work lives, and they've got to work out how do they get this right balance. And so this principle, this 80-20 principle, is really around where to put the effort, right? And to your point, you've got to do a bit of trial and error to work out how to get the best result off the back of that.
There's a quick way that you can actually do that.
Great.
I have been doing that for a long time. It's called focus, stop, and continue.
Yeah.
So basically, we have to find out, let's say the other way is to rank, which are the things that give you the most results. Keep ranking them, and the top one, keep doing it. That's the focus. Then you start the other end is, what can you stop where the impact is minimum?
Yeah.
You cut the minimum, and you spend your time, investment your time in what you focus to get the maximum result. You will probably find that there are 10 to 20 things that you do that actually, predominant. And from there, you find out, okay, which one is on the top focus, which on the bottom. You prune the bottom and you do the top. And you keep increasing to do the top to get more results.
That's very helpful. So focus, stop, and continue, right? Good kind of framework to use, and keep iterating what works. Stop things that aren't making that big a difference. Focus on what you think is going to make the difference. Make sure that it is. If it is, continue, right? So it's really good advice. So the last question for you today is, when you're not working and when you're not mentoring and when you're not busy on LinkedIn and you're talking to other business leaders, what do you enjoy doing? What gives you energy and gives you a smile?
I think it's the networking and the mentoring.
Yeah.
Because networking allows you, because there's a satisfaction of all the achievement results. You can help others become successful in their career, business, and life. I think there are a couple of things that I can remember vividly in my memories that actually give me the motivation. I've helped a person who had a migrant who could not get a job for 4 years. He was on the verge of breakdown. So I have to do, mentoring for the life, then to, all this in. And I think he was so thankful. You can actually see from the face, the tears actually come out. So these are the things that actually happen. And there's also another one I can reveal. He couldn't get any interview. And then after mentoring for him, he got 2 jobs in a day. So these
2
are the
jobs
things,
in a day.
2 jobs. He received the same 2 letters in a day. There's a lot of offers. He says, Alan, he texts me. I actually got 2 jobs offered in the same day that I received. So these are the things. And the other third one I remember vividly is somebody wanted to start business in Sydney. They're not confident. What happened after going to the business mentoring? Then I went to one of the business mentoring I've done before in Melbourne. I said, can you do me a favor of holding this lady hand, which is in Sydney, and they took off from the business. So they will forever be, something that is something say. Then they asked me, what do I want to get back because of all these results I've given? I say, the only thing I want you to do is, if there's an opportunity for you to help others, just do that. That will be the best thing in the world.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And time has just flown, and we're going to wrap up the podcast today. But Alan, thank you so much for coming on to the White Arc Chiefs podcast. We've loved having you. I think for me, there's a lot to unpack in what you've shared with us, but your 3 words or themes for 2021 around resilience, adaptability, and agility, your passion and dedication to mentoring and helping other people achieve success through the learnings that you've got from yourself and all of the people that you've mentored and all the leaders that you've worked with. And it isn't just about what impact you can have, it's helping other people then also make an impact on other people. And, I really liked the model you talked about around the 80-20, and we hear a lot about 80-20, right? But how do you practically apply that? And that model about focus on what's going to make the biggest impact, stop things that don't, and continue to iterate and continue to evolve. So there's so much knowledge that people can take from you, from your experiences, and obviously your thoughts around the time horizon, the 10-year time horizon from a career perspective is really powerful. But thank you, Alan, so much for joining us today. We've really loved having you and really appreciate your time.
Can I say the last word?
Yeah.
Can I thank podcast and Joel for the opportunity once again, and thank you.
Thank you, Alan.